Okay.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Picklebilly Presents. I am Jan, and our guest today is Taylor. And okay, so how did you luck out with this name, Taylor? You sound like a rapper rock star.
Thank you. I like rapper rock star. I've gotten a lot of interesting comments about the name. So yeah, my parents did not name me Taylor, fortunately. Thank you, Mom. Because if I had been explaining this for 50 years, I'd be pretty much exhausted. But I did. So a friend sent an email and said, this guy wants to ask you out. His name is Cameron Taylor. And I wrote back and said, I can't go out with him because if I like him and fall in love with him and marry him, my name will be Taylor.
Total
And
deal
I said
killer.
that, right. I said that to my mom and she was like, I know his parents, they'll be cute and he'll be cute and smart. And I know live in Memphis. It's like the big, small town. Right. And I did not know him though. I'd never met him. And so I said, okay, fine, I'll go. And then we went around and around when we finally decided to get married. He should be Cameron Holden, which is my maiden name. And he said, we don't live in Peru, so no. And then I was going to be just Taylor, like Cher or Madonna, but you have to like pay to have that done. So finally I was like, okay, fine. We're just going to go with Taylor. And I have lots of good nicknames from it. And
I love it.
But I'll check in for a tournament. They'll say like, we have a problem with our system. It says that your name is Taylor. And I'm like, the problem is right here. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, I know you are on vacation with your mom and your daughter. Where are you guys right now? Looks like somewhere sunny.
Yes. Well, fingers crossed it's going to hold out today too. But we're in Rosemary Beach, off of 30A down near Sandustin.
Wait a minute. What state are you in?
Florida. We're in Florida.
Oh, you're in Florida. Okay. Oh,
we're
very nice.
This is a big place that Memphians come to vacation. So it's like coming to Memphis with the ocean, which is, not exactly a vacation, but the kids love it. So we brought 3 14-year-old girls, my daughter and 2 of her friends. My 16-year-old son is in boarding school in Rhode Island right now. So unfortunately he's not here, but I've gotten more information from his friends I've run into on the beach about how he's doing than I get directly from him.
Oh, very little recon there. Very nice. So let me ask you, so as an accomplished athlete yourself, and so let's just talk about, you have a 14-year-old daughter. Do you push sports? Do you encourage her to do sports? Is she doing sports? And why?
I encouraged my children from a young age to find something that they love and be good at it. That was my life. I started playing tennis when I was 10. It was my goal all along to pay my way to college and pay my parents back for all the money they spent on junior tennis and traveling and shoes and rackets and all that. And I know that if I had not had that, I wouldn't have done as well in school. I would not have been, I probably would have been in a lot of trouble because it kept me very, I had to manage my time well. I had to learn a lot of responsibility with it. And so I've just encouraged my children to do that. They both told me early on, we are not playing tennis. That is your sport, Mom. And then when I switched from tennis to pickleball about 3 years ago, they learned how to play. But my daughter is a dancer. She's a ballet. She does theater and ballet now. Particularly, she does that point, which I can't imagine being able to do because there's nothing graceful about this. But my son is he's been a ball boy since he was born. And so he is now he's a real focused, dedicated lacrosse player. And which is part of the reason he's up in the Northeast at school. But he is, he could be really good at tennis, could be really good at pickleball. He's got a good hand-eye. She's got very good, strong, athletic ability. It's just a different kind. And I've learned so much about the differences in your own 2 children and how to sort of guide them down that path of having something that they love and that they're good at. I think it's important. Yeah. But I don't want them to do something that they don't enjoy, of course. But when she said, oh, Mom, I don't know if I'm going to dance in high school. I said, well, you're going to do something. So you're going to figure out what that is. And she said, I think I'll dance. I was like, okay, great.
So would that be your recommendation then to parents that have your children find something that they love that they can work on, develop, learn
Yeah,
to excel in.
I think it's really
Yeah.
so that's part of what our nonprofit is based on, why we combined the social work aspect with the sport aspect is because you do learn a lot about life through sport. I mean, I
Yeah.
learned a lot. I had to deal with and communicate with and engage with adults at a very young age. I had
Yeah.
coaches. I had my partner's parents. We were with, whatever. And so I think there are just so many life skills that one learns through, and it could be art, it could be anything,
Yeah.
but having that focus and knowing that I we reward effort. Like, I don't mind if they don't win, obviously, but I do. Oh my word, but I do. I do want them to do something that they understand, work, they learn work ethic and
Yeah.
responsibility.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just good. And again, I've given my children two choices in every situation they've been in. You can put your shoes on and go play at your friend's house, or you can not put your shoes on and you can stay home in your room alone. But if you get two choices and they're both come from me, but they think they're in control, just like you can dance or but you're going to do something. And so empower
Yeah.
your children to make those decisions, but help
Yeah.
them with the boundaries around that a little bit.
Yeah. I love that. And I think, yeah, letting them choose, there's that empowerment, and then they're authentic to themselves as far as it's
Yes.
coming from them. And
And
yeah.
there's not this fight over doing, I mean, I see people who
Yeah.
want their children to be football players, and their children
Yeah.
aren't, they're not, they don't, my kid does not love all the things up my son up, people in his face. And so we thought golf was going to be his sport, or tennis, but
Yeah.
we just know that that's, whatever. And you just have to know those things about yourself. Them about yourself,
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
know them about your people, and then you can help direct.
Yeah.
But I am so grateful for tennis. I mean, I tell you what, it opened so many doors in my life. And now, having switched because of injuries and whatever, I can't even believe what pickleball has brought to my life already in the 3 years I've been involved.
Yeah. That's just the, yeah. Well, part of my joy in doing these interviews is, I'm finding out about people all across the country who are just doing amazing things and varied things. And so
Hmm.
Christine Barksdale, just said, "Oh, I really recommend that you interview Taylor Taylor." And I have heard your name, but I didn't really know exactly what you did. But of course, your name is distinctive, and so
Right.
so I think that so let's talk about that. It's really people should know about Picklemania. And there was a junior high book called Picklemania. Did you get it from the book, or did you just come up with that name independently?
So in the beginning of this whole journey, one of the earliest things that we identified as a situation in pickleball was the apparel. And so it's come a long way in
Wait,
three
what do you
years. But
mean? What do you mean? One of the things we identified was the apparel. What does that mean?
well, it looked like people were doing yard work versus pickle playing a sport. Initially, you saw it all, right? But you didn't have this sort of it didn't have a tennis background, and it didn't have and so there was kind of this, like, what do we wear to play pickleball in? And it was always a little bit alarming initially. And so
Oh,
the very
that's
first thing I
hilarious.
did was say, I'm going to start an apparel, pickleball apparel. And so it was called
Oh,
Picklemania apparel. And then
oh,
then from there, I started talking about that I really wanted to do this nonprofit thing and write this curriculum and whatever. So that name then was GAME, which stands for Group Activities Meaningful to Everyone, because we wrote this
yeah.
curriculum that we thought we might apply to other activities. And at the time, pickleball, I mean, people were looking at me like I was crazy when I said, we're going to teach this through pickleball. Nobody knew at all what it was, right? And so we didn't go with a pickleball name. Well, then this past year, our board, I started saying, I feel like now that pickleball is really real, and I don't care so much about applying it to other activities because pickleball is all I want to do. Let's put the pickle back in it. And so we rebranded this
Mm,
year as
mm,
Picklemania, being the Picklemania was always kind of the umbrella and everything else was
yeah.
falling underneath it, but we weren't calling it that. And I told my board, it's made my life a lot easier because it's easier to explain that than it is the other piece,
Yeah.
because everything that we do under Picklemania is pickleball related, and everything goes back into supporting the nonprofit mission.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't think everyone understands, and I've got a little bit of an understanding, so I need some clarity as well.
Sure.
Is that so the focus of Picklemania is what?
So
What
the
is the
focus,
purpose?
so I'll tell you the purpose. Okay, so pre-COVID, let's talk that for a second. We were involved in some organizations. Our goal was to, so I wrote this curriculum that's a social emotional learning curriculum that's based on adverse childhood experiences research. So we all have ACEs, and they impact us emotionally, psychologically, and physically. Now the research is showing as well. So a lot of obesity, heart disease, diabetes, a lot of that is caused directly from adverse childhood experiences. So thinking about our world that way, we wanted to sort of neutralize or universalize the conversation around this so that we can disabuse people of the shame and the guilt and that goes
Yeah.
along with that stuff, and help to prevent perpetuation of damaging behavior, right? So we
So
wrote the
having a
curriculum.
discussion, so you're
Yeah,
educating the children, you're educating the parents, you're educating the teachers, the society. Let's call it what it is, get it
right.
out there, and we can deal with it.
That's right. And we can all acknowledge it. And then it's just
Yeah.
not such a taboo
Yeah.
thing, right? And
Mm.
I'm generating a lot more self-awareness. So I don't want to pass that on to my children and to my children's children and all of that. So breaking this cycle a little bit and doing it at a young age, which is important, obviously. So our goal was to work with children and their adult. And whether that adult is a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, a babysitter, an older sibling, we didn't care. We know the value of that and the importance of that bond directly related to brain architecture, et cetera. So I just was like, oh my God, pickleball is the perfect vessel
Yeah.
through which we can do this. Tennis is hard. Tennis is expensive. Tennis takes a lot of more technical savvy,
Yeah.
right? Tennis requires a
And
lot more
also,
space.
the child could bring that significant other to play pickleball, and that significant other is definitely going to be understanding the culture in which that child's issues have arisen.
Right. And that
Yeah.
adult is
Yeah.
then able to go play with their peers, because pickleball is such an intergenerational game that we
Yeah.
knew if we could expose the children, we can develop that, but we can also expose the adults and hopefully develop that. So we were teaching our curriculum, PICKL. Each letter of the word pickleball represents a life lesson or character value or trait. And then COVID hit, and we were not able to go into these organizations or schools. We were in some charter schools and some different organizations. So we like everybody else, we sort of pivoted or bobbed and weaved or whatever you want to call it. And I had all this equipment from my classes. So I put it on Facebook. If anybody wanted to borrow my pickleball equipment, they were welcome to, because they could do it in their driveway with their families. And from there, from there, we ended up selling over 60 COVID kits, is what we called them, of the net, 4 paddles, and 3 balls to families. That money went back in to support our eventual whatever we could do for the nonprofit. Then we started paying. People said, well, you can put courts in too, right? And I was like, sure I can. So I don't know, but I taught myself. So we started painting lines in people's driveways. And
I saw that on your site. So you say, oh, do you want a court? Let us know. We'll come and survey it. And then,
yes.
Okay. So you really help them to get started with pickleball. The equipment.
That's right.
The
equipment,
potential court.
right?
Yeah.
And then we would
Yeah.
show up after we painted the lines and teach everybody how to play. Well,
Yeah.
then we found a court building partner in our community, so we could actually build courts from scratch, because people then started saying, we want a court in our backyard, like a real court. So then we developed that relationship, and half the profits would go back into the nonprofit. And so now we are desperately trying to get back to our people and be able to get into these organizations. There is still a lot of hesitancy because of the ramifications and the ongoing issues with COVID, but we're making some progress there. But really, honestly, the way we're sort of thinking right now is we want to continue this mission of making pickleball accessible to under-resourced groups. And so whether that's in Memphis or Chicago or California or Florida, or we want to continue to say to people, we know how valuable this is for everyone. I mean, certainly it was very good for all of us emotionally during COVID and physically. And so whether we're teaching our curriculum or we're this model that we've developed of how to implement and facilitate pickleball in a community. I mean, just last weekend I was working with a church in an under-resourced community in Memphis. I just went over and taped off the courts in the parking lot of the church, and
Yeah.
20 people from the community came out and learned how to play, and now they've got their own open play every Sunday, and more people are coming and learning and doing. And so eventually, hopefully they'll say, wait, we need you to paint those lines. Hey, actually, we have this empty parking lot. Could you just resurface it and put a court in for us? I mean, the ease of doing that and the accessibility of it is really a special and unique thing in
Oh
my
my
mind.
gosh, that is incredible.
It's really
So
exciting.
you wrote the curriculum, and then can we get an idea of the curriculum? Is it on the
Sure.
website?
It is.
Or
It's on our story page where it
oh,
says
it is.
about us. But
Okay.
here's the bottom line. It's like we have 4 semesters of curriculum written, and a semester for us is 10 weeks. Because there are 10 letters in the word pickleball. So each letter represents a different, so like, let's say we're in semester 1, maybe we have P is participation. So we just ask that all the children and all the adults participate on some level. Now, maybe the child is actually just picking up the balls because they aren't sure that they want to try to hit it because they don't have confidence,
Yeah.
but if you don't participate in life and you don't put yourself out there and you don't risk failing
Yeah.
potentially
Yeah.
or succeeding, you're not living a very fulfilling life. So that's an example. So then we attach that to an initial skill with pickleball. So right, with my 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, we roll the ball under the net. Then
Yeah.
we have the paddle, and then we push the ball under the net.
Yeah.
And then let's say C, serve and return communication. That's one of our C words. So we teach the children and the adult, are you ready? Yes. If how are you? I'm well. But a lot of people, you say, how are you? And they turn around and walk off. And, so we
Yeah.
have to kind of teach
Yeah.
these things that a lot of people take for granted, that
Right.
that's
And those
important.
skills will help that child as they go throughout their life to have that, it's just
I mean, we
essential
fold
with
up the
everything.
net like a bed sheet. It's things like that. So we
Yeah.
can say to the parents, like, hey, guess what we did today? We taught your kid how to fold a bed sheet. So you engage your child at home
Yeah.
and y'all interact and
Yeah.
y'all bond. And
Yeah.
then, now that then the adults are hanging on every word too. They're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
that, so that's the basics of the 4 different words that are associated with each one of those letters that then is directly correlated with a skill. So by the end of the
Okay,
semester,
that's
they know how to play
amazing.
pickleball.
Okay, but then now you're running these clinics then in Memphis.
Yes.
So you're running them there. And it's not done through a school. And are they coming on the weekend? Is it after school?
It's partnerships. It's whoever really sees the vision. So the school we were working with prior to COVID, we also have written a train the trainer curriculum. So we used that school as kind of our pilot program, and we taught their PE teacher how to
Yeah.
teach our program. And so we provided the equipment, we
Oh,
provided the programming, and then she learned with me, and I was there to support her for that first semester, and then it would just take over from
oh,
there. So if there's somebody in California who wants to have pickleball with purpose in their school or in their boys and girls club or in their community center or whatever, then they could reach out to us, and they could identify who they think they would want to be in charge of the program, and we would train them to do it.
oh, that is brilliant
And we have
because
partnerships with, equipment companies. We have a partnership with Head Pickleball, and they help us with all the equipment. So we would outfit that program through the relationships that we've just worked hard to build over the last few years. And
okay, well, I'm going to be thinking about my contacts, and I want everyone
thank
who
you.
is watching this to think about it because, in my opinion, this is brilliant. Like I actually was a teacher for 23 years, so
So you're
and
like the perfect person to get it, and you could do it, and
oh,
it's so easy. Like,
oh,
you don't have to have 20 years of teaching
oh
to do
no,
this. It's easy, but
yeah,
it's really interesting, the people who I also certify people through PPR, and the teachers that want to be able to teach pickleball specifically,
yeah,
and the people who were corporate sales people that ran all those conferences and things for people. They all want to teach in a
Yes.
different kind of from a different perspective now through this sport. And it just, the sport is, to me, is just, I don't know. It's
Well,
crazy.
I just think it's really brilliant in school because not only are you teaching athletic concepts, but then also the social, emotional, and then weaving it in. And especially like for me at junior high level, oh boy, they really need that.
They
But I
do.
could see that if you were doing this for an adult level, you could also, you know, change it a little. You'd be
You
the
change,
same
we change.
concepts,
Yep.
but
So I'll give you
modify
an
it. And
example. Like we talk
yeah,
about not backing off, like holding your ground at the non-volley zone, and how important
yeah,
it is that you stay firm on that line, because as soon as you back up, you become vulnerable. And as soon as you back up, your chances of succeeding go down dramatically, right? But
yeah,
it's easy to want to back up in a confrontation, and that net is so close and it feels really kind of scary. And so we talk to the adults a lot about, you can have a respectful that communication can be, you can be in charge of it without being aggressive, or without being hurtful, but you can hold your ground, and guess what, the chances of you having the outcome that you want are much greater. The chances of me winning in pickleball are way greater if I hold my ground. So
oh, I
the adult
love it.
conversation just
Oh,
looks, it's just, and you
oh,
can apply anything really,
oh
and
my
it's so
gosh.
interesting. And
Okay,
we'd love
so
to do veterans and all that kind of stuff too eventually. I mean, I have a lot of
oh,
vision for it, but
oh
it's
yes.
it's it's
Well,
a, one day at
well,
a time.
okay, so I have been um, toying with the idea of teaching pickleball here and running it through our Parks and Recs department. So, would I then, how would I go about adopting this curriculum or getting certified?
So
Do
that's
you
why
do certi?
yeah,
Yeah,
I came on as a clinician for PPR, because it made so much sense to me that this was a way that we could create awareness around what we're doing. But really, it was it met my teaching fix for me at the time, because this business was just getting off the ground, and I had been a tennis pro for 20 years and I love teaching and coaching. So
yeah,
if anyone has any interest in teaching in their community, whether you want to teach because you are the go-to, you're the ambassador in your community, so to speak, or you
yeah.
want to charge $100 an hour, whatever it is, to teach a pickleball lesson to somebody, wherever you fall on that spectrum,
Hmm,
the
hmm.
PPR certification, in my opinion, is fantastic. And I will come to your community. We need 6 to 12 people. And then you can take from it with you what applies as far as meeting the needs that you have. So if you want to teach our curriculum, I would say get certified as a PPR instructor, because then you have
Okay.
credentials and you have liability insurance, which is
Yes.
huge. And
Yes.
so then you say, okay, now I don't want to focus on the country clubs. Maybe I want to focus on the under resourced, or the community centers, or
Yeah.
the public courts. And I would
Yeah.
like to be able to incorporate the pickleball with purpose curriculum while
Hmm.
I'm also still teaching people how to play pickleball. I mean, what we say is just like, we're just not only about paddles and balls. We love the paddles and balls piece, but we also love this extra layer. So whoever you are, wherever you are, if this is interesting to you, I mean, I just taught a workshop last week in Atlanta, or 2 weeks ago, and two women, retired physicians, came to me afterwards and said, we want to teach adaptive sports. Well, there happened to be a guy in our class with one arm. He had lost his
Mm.
arm in a motorcycle accident after he came back. He was in the military. Anyway,
Yeah.
they have these adaptive sports, right? And she's like, people can do pickleball. Well, he's got one arm. He's coming to be an instructor. And so we have a call next week to talk about, well, how can we apply our curriculum to what they want to do? And how can I help them,
Yeah.
maybe
Oh
tweak
yeah.
it to
Oh
apply to
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Good.
really, it can be applied anywhere. So, but
Yeah.
first you're saying though, you need to get PPR, or you recommend getting PPR certified. You can do that.
I recommend that, and I do that. Yes, I work as a clinician for
Okay.
PPR and travel around, where I've been everywhere. And this past year, the increase in number of workshops has been so fascinating to me, because when I first started, people weren't really paying for instruction. If you know what I mean, we were
Right.
all
Right.
learning from that great ambassador in our community. And now there are tournaments, and people want to get better, and they want to get rated, and they want to whatever. And so the number of people that I taught 3 workshops in one weekend in Columbus, Ohio. Like, people want to teach now because they know there's a need, but also I learned so much as a player taking the class, because there's a
Yeah.
lot that, we don't have. Sarah Ansberry wrote this curriculum. She's done a great job
Yeah.
articulating what it is that you do, and sometimes we don't know that when we're doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And there are
Yeah.
lots of people from backgrounds with racket sports and paddle sports, and some that have zero. And this class and this curriculum is applicable to anybody. You don't have to be a former tennis player, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? I think a lot of people would like to do what you're doing, but you have made a roadmap, which is really lovely.
And
So I
I'm
help.
so about collaboration. Like, let's don't reinvent
Yeah.
the wheel. Like, if I've spent the
Yeah.
last 3 years researching every aspect of this game. In fact, I was talking to my mom this morning. I remember when I first started, I wanted to know if it was for real. My first tournament was the US Open, because I was like, I'm gonna find out if this is for real. Because if it is, I want to be a part of it. And I was in the Walmart in Naples taking pictures of the pickleball equipment that existed at the time, that was like, made out of wood.
Oh, yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was 3 years ago,
Oh, yeah.
and it was $10, and now, look at us. So I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like I've tried to put my hand in all of it, and I need to, I wanna be in my lane, but I
Okay,
also.
wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just can't get over what you just said. You did not say that your first tournament was the US Open? What?
Yep. 3 years ago. I just said, I can do this. I don't know what I'm doing on the pickleball court, but I have some background
You
in
got right.
sports,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I mean, I played tennis at Virginia, and I felt good about my skills, but I was playing tennis on the pickleball court, which we all know now is a big no-no. But I just signed up, and I went down there by myself, and
Yeah.
and I just said, if this is a real thing,
Yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
there was something in my heart that was like, I have to be a part of this. And I came home and I was like, okay, this is it. I started the program at our club. We put 8 painted courts down on our tennis courts eventually. We built our own pickleball club that was a virtual club. We paid rent to the tennis club for use of the courts. And then from there, I started saying, I just would really love to do this social work piece too.
Oh
And
my
how do I do that?
gosh. Taylor, you are just amazing.
Well, no,
Um,
I'm not. It's just,
well,
it just is, I just believe that, well, I feel very lucky. Let me say that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I
And I have
want
this
to
fabulous board who supports me. And, I learned a lot about the nonprofit world. I mean, also, if someone's looking to start up a nonprofit, they can call me about that too, because I knew nothing, and
yeah.
it's a process.
I just want to okay, that was getting involved. I'm looking here at the website. I've got that pulled up. Um,
So there
I
are all these
wanted
different ways you can get in the game, is kind of one of our. So if you wanted to volunteer, if you want to buy a paddle, so you buying a paddle gets you involved in the game with Picklemania, because every dime that you pay for that paddle goes to cover the cost of the paddle for us, but then the rest goes back into Picklemania. So
yeah.
if you buy a paddle, then you're helping buy a paddle for somebody who can't buy one.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
Okay.
we have a partnership with Block UV Clothing, a woman that I met when I was running the pro shop at our tennis club. And I've been
Yeah.
wearing her clothes now forever, those little half
Oh,
shirts
wait.
you see me wearing.
Okay. No, wait. There's a place that shows all of your sponsors. Where is that on your webpage?
I think it's on About Us. There should be a drop down maybe
Oh,
that
at the
says
bottom.
partners.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Let's
Okay.
see. I don't know for
To
sure.
our
This is a new website.
partners. I did see it. I was kind of scrolling through it. Maybe
Yes,
it's here.
keep going
Oh,
down. Yeah,
here it
there we
is.
go.
Okay, so look at that. Look at all of these people who
I
are
know.
working with you on this.
And I'm so
Um,
grateful to them.
okay, so
And we
here's the
have
shirts
more.
you're
So
talking
we have
about. Block
Mediceleaf.
UV.
We have a relationship with Mediceleaf now, and that's a
Oh,
CBD company, and they haven't been added yet. But these people are nice enough to and Jigsaw sell to us, and then we sell, and then whatever we sell goes back into supporting the organization.
all right. Love it. Love it. Um, yeah, okay.
Even Elmo knows how to play pickleball, thanks to us.
Who does?
Elmo. So we had a Sesame Street and Communities. That's an organization now called Sesame Street and Communities. And
Yeah.
they go in and do programming. And so they came to Memphis, and we were a part of that. And so we taught Elmo how to play pickleball. That was pretty fun.
Well, I think you know what, when you follow your heart and your passion, just like you told your kids, it seems like that's what you're doing, and your heart and your passion said to do this, and so you're going forward, and
And
um,
I and it can
you
and
know,
you know anything can be done when you put your mind to it. But I do believe like I am grateful every day, and sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I do what for a living? Like I play
yeah,
what because it's still
yeah,
it's just kind of but it's been I mean
yeah,
such a godsend, and I love competing. I love teaching. I love being at the
yeah,
tournaments and seeing all my
yeah,
friends.
yeah.
It's
And
special.
I think some people would look at what you're doing and just say, oh my gosh, like how do you have the energy for it? But it's coming from your heart, and it's what you love to do. So it just, there's a lesson for everybody
Yeah, don't I mean,
to
I've
hear
had
that.
3 friends in the last year who have quit their jobs and figured out how to do whether a couple of one of them has done pickleball, but the other ones have just said, this is I learned a lot being introduced to this sport. I want to I can change what I'm doing. I don't have to be unhappy. I know what I feel like when I play pickleball. I always say like the only thing sore when I play pickleball is my face because I've been smiling the entire time, win or lose. And that's a new phenomenon for me because I hate to lose. And tennis was not that way. I would not be smiling.
Wow.
But you're just so
Wow.
happy, and the people, so people are networking now through pickleball and going like, oh yeah, I want to go do that. I want to go sell shoe insoles. I want to go be a part of that
Yeah.
paddle company or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's so refreshing.
Yeah. 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 I totally relate. Well, I know we
Yeah,
were
look
going
at
to,
you. Look what you're doing.
yeah, no, no, it's the same thing. It's like,
It's
it's
so
like,
brilliant.
like doing these interviews, it's a lot of technology, it's a lot of preparation. But like for my joy is to learn about you, to learn about what people are doing. And it's a joyful thing. And
Well,
I
and we
hope
would love
other,
to support Pickle Billy however we can. I mean, we can talk about, I'm so grateful to meet you because, like I said, I'm traveling once a month at least to an event,
yeah,
and it adds up. And I'm working on a not from it with a nonprofit budget.
yeah,
So, and we're raising money, not, we're very conscious about what money we're spending. And so we any way we can be more resourceful, and would love to talk to you about adding a partnership and putting stuff on our website so people can go one stop shop, find
yeah.
out about Pickle Mania, and then also understand the other resources out there for
Oh my
them as they
gosh.
get more and more involved.
Oh yeah. Well, so Pickle Billy's got 2,000 members, and people are
Dang.
very happy and excited, and they're joining it. And the thing is that I want to keep growing it because the more members we have, then we have more hosts. And
Yeah.
that's the ticket, is like, because there's lots of people who have extra room availability, who would love to host you,
Yeah.
who enjoy meeting new people. And
I got to sign up. I would love to host when we
yeah,
have stuff in Memphis, and we have a fundraiser coming up in March that we're
yeah,
doing in conjunction with another a large nonprofit in Memphis called the Church Health Center. And
yeah.
so anybody who might want to come and participate in that can stay with me.
Yeah. Well, what we need to do is get more people in Memphis to sign up to be
Yeah,
hosts, and then when you have
great.
an event, then we'll
Then we have a whole
get more people.
neighborhood, a whole group, a
Yeah.
community of people to. I love that idea. I'm
Yeah.
on it.
And also, once you do join Picklebilly on the Facebook page, we have the link to the list of hosts. So,
Okay.
like today, I just added two more people, two from Los Angeles, one from Ontario, Canada, one from North Carolina, everywhere. And sometimes it's one bedroom, sometimes it's your whole separate apartment, sometimes
Yes.
it's just all different. Anyway, so you can
Well,
see
I
that when you
grew up
join.
with we had the girls 18s national clay court championships at our club where I grew up playing
Oh,
tennis. And
yeah.
then we had the US National Indoor at my club. So we had a professional tournament there for 41 years. And I grew up, my parents hosted the girls for the tournament. Then I played
Yeah.
in the tournament, which is where I got recruited to play college tennis. But then we had a condominium across the street from the club, and we had a pro. We hosted a professional tennis player every year in that space. And so
Yeah.
it is so fun, the people you meet again, and it's a nice way to give back. It's a really nice way to give back to the
Yeah.
community of pickleball or your sport in a way that doesn't take much
Yeah.
effort or
And
much
and then
expense.
yeah, and you just think about when you go play pickleball, you said about smiling, that's just our pickleball world. It's
It is.
extremely social, which I think is probably saved a lot of people
Saved a lot of people.
who were lonely or who were isolated or who,
Yep,
so there's
changed
that.
my life. I know that when they said you can't ever play tennis again, I was like, what am I gonna do? Because my knee was so bad. But I
Yeah.
have people all the time, all the time. This changed my life. This saved me. And then,
Yeah.
especially with what we've gone through in the last year and a half, I think
Oh, yeah. I know,
getting
but where do you hear
outside.
that? Where do you hear that with anything else? Where
No,
and on
where do
such a
you?
massive scale.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
is
And the
it's
way that there is so much intergenerational, like,
yes.
I know
Yes.
I can go play, but like there's
Yeah.
nothing else that the 80-year-old and the 20-year-old can be on the same or opposite
Yeah.
sides of the net and be competitive and have fun and
Yeah.
interact
No, it's a
from
beautiful
14
sport
feet
for
apart.
families. Yeah, a beautiful sport for families, for
Yeah.
communities.
We
Well,
could talk all day about it, couldn't we?
no, we could talk all day. You know what I've decided what I'd like to do in these segments at the end is to ask for a couple of resources.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping that you could give us either the name of a book you recommend or a video to watch or
Hmm.
just something that you find is a resource that's really helpful that you think people should check out.
So I'm bad about it's hard for me to sit still. So I just have to be totally transparent about that. I don't watch as much as I should. I love because I trained under Sarah Ansberry I was certified by her initially and then approached by them to become a clinician and she trained me. I
Yeah.
love her stuff. I love her academy. I love her
Okay.
videos. I
Okay.
love
That's
as a female, it's kind of nice to have a female. But I think
yeah.
there's so many good resources out there. I'm helping some people with a book right now, which is exciting. And the very
Well,
first
let's
book I
just
bought was that Pickleball Fundamentals,
yeah.
and it was great.
Yeah.
So the book they're working on is a more advanced one, kind of version of that. I think there are so many great resources out there.
Well,
I,
let's just
I
leave it
just
at let's just leave it at Sarah Ansbury, and then we'll because I subscribe to her. I get an email
me too.
once a
Love
week. It's
that.
got her video. It seems like her production quality is really great. The sound, the lighting, everything, the length of them, they're pretty
Hmm.
short, sweet. She's so
Hmm.
direct.
She's so
Yeah,
good. She's very good.
yeah,
And
yeah,
her and it's more for me, the people that I'm teaching are not going to be professionals. They're going to be really whatever they want to be. Do they want to
yeah,
they just want to be a 3-0? Then I
yeah,
want to help them be the best 3-0 they can be, right? If they want to be a
yeah,
5-0, I want to help them be the best 5-0. And she
yeah,
does a good job of sort of not making it about herself as a pro, but
yeah,
making it about each
yeah,
individual person who just wants to learn.
yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah,
love that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And as a player, the players out there, the best things you can do for yourself, prepare and have a good general game plan going into it with your partner, and then be able to adapt based on your competition and have all the weapons in your arsenal, right? In case you need to be able to dink only to the backhand on the right side of the court, you want to be able
what
to
it,
do that.
we just watched her video this morning, Sarah, and she just said, when you go into a game, she goes, don't think about all the different things. Work. Maybe she's talking about rec play. Like
Yeah.
work on one thing at a time. Where it's
Very
keeping your
good
paddle
advice.
up, or you know,
And if you have to say to your partner, I have this conversation a lot when I teach that class. If you have to say to your partner, like, hey, man, I'm working on this today. And
yeah,
I want to really hit my thirds to the outside quarter of the court. I'm
yeah.
probably going to miss 50% of them, but this is rec play. I
And
want to be ready for the
I would
championship
say,
tournament.
Taylor, excuse me, can you just do that on a different game because I really want to win.
And I'm going to
No, no, no.
say, yeah, I know. That's what you hear. No, I don't want to win the rec play. So if you want to rec play with me, you got to know I'm not writing it down, and neither I don't think if someone is writing it
Exactly.
down,
Oh,
we need to reevaluate.
oh, exactly.
Right? Because we need to be
I'm
using
with
that
you.
time for
I,
community engagement, socialization, and improvement.
I love it. Well, hey, I just want to wish you a
Thank
wonderful
you.
day and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Enjoy your mom and your
Thank you for having
kids
me.
and your,
Thanks.
yeah, this has been wonderful. Everyone needs to watch this.
I hope they
I
will. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, and I
Thank
look
you
forward to
again.
supporting you
Thanks
however
you
I
as
can.
well.
Yeah.
Mwah.
Okay. Bye.
Have a great day. Thank you
Okay. You
again.
too.